Okay, start.
Okay, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to have this partnership between ABREN and the Finnish Embassy with Finnish Technologies. Welcome to the first and fifth, actually now, Brazilian Potential for Finnish Technologies. It's a pleasure to have you all here today. My name is Rubens Aebi. I am the Vice President of ABREN, the Brazilian Association for Energetic Recovery from Waste. I have here by my side today also our President, Mr. Yuri Schmitke. I will be your moderator, and now I will forward the greetings to the Finnish ambassador, Jouko Leinonen. He will have a few words to share with us, Finnish and Brazilian people. Thank you very much, Ambassador Leinonen. It's your words now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Rubens, and good morning, Brazil. Good afternoon, Finland. And special greetings from Brasilia, from the capital of Brazil, to ABREN. I don't know exactly how to say it in English, but Brazilian Association for Energy Recovery and Residues, for organizing this webinar together with our team here in Brazil. Special thanks to the President Yuri Schmitke and of course to you, Rubens, who is Vice President of this organization, and also thanks to Francisco Lene, who knows quite well Finland, and I think was one of the initiators for this webinar. I also welcome the speakers from Finland. Thank you, Helena Sarén from Business Finland, to have time for this event, and of course our representatives, company representatives. Welcome Henri Kinnunen from Voima and Kalle Kivelä from Crosswrap and Iiro Tilikainen from Metso Autotech. And I'm really happy to be here today. Thank you for joining this webinar. Many times we asked why are many industries in Nordic countries like in Finland quite often very efficient while using energy, not polluting, using raw materials without creating waste, actually working according to these principles of circular economy. And my first explanation always is that, especially in the case of Finland, is that our Arctic climate and very harsh winters didn't give us any option of wasting anything. For example, wasting energy is not an option in Finland. If your house is not isolated very well, you lose all your money and heat in few hours. Temperatures are that low. Another explanation maybe is that we started very early. For example, the first forest code in Finland is from 1889, not from 1989, but 1800s really. And more recent economies are that we ended up creating a bioeconomy strategy for Finland already 2014, and energy and climate strategy 2016, as well as national plan for circular economy. That was also, I think, 2016. With other European countries, we have this ambitious objective for the future, because we believe that strongly that forcing our companies to the first line of the development nationally, there's a good chance them to become also world-class players, if not champions too. For example, when the objective in Europe is to make our continent first carbon neutral continent in 2050, our national objective is to be carbon or CO2 neutral already in 2035, and shortly after diminish carbon in the atmosphere. And in this way, to be the first welfare society fossil-free, and we think really that being ambitious helps us. Let me give some numbers from Brazil and Finland for you to start this discussion. In 2018, Brazil generated 79 million tons of municipal solid waste. In Finland, we generated 3 million tons. Of course, the size of the countries are totally different. In Brazil, every person generated 380 kilos per year, while we in Finland, we generated even 45% more, totaling 550 kilos per year per person. These numbers, for many of you, the companies, doesn't mean a cost, but huge business opportunity. And well, this is exactly what our waste policies in Finland they aim to promote the sustainable use of natural resources and to ensure this way that the waste doesn't endanger human health or harm the environment. Of course, these aspects are very important, especially now at the COVID-19 times. The health issues have become very near to all of us, but also the near of all the society as a whole and near to every decision maker. So I think this is a very timely moment, Finland also to engage with Brazil in this mission of circular economy. Well, where is our waste management in Finland based on then? There are certain priorities. Firstly, or primarily, we think that the old generation of waste should simply be avoided. And if the waste is generated, it must be prepared for reuse and reused again and again. If reusing is then not possible, then we think that waste must be primarily recovered as materials, recycled, and secondly, recovered as energy. And yes, waste may be disposed of in landfills only if this recovery is not technically or financially feasible. Last years in Finland, we have developed and increased the energetic reuse of our waste. And in 2018, the total use of waste that we disposed in landfills were only 0.7%, if they gave me the correct number. Well, like I told you, the European Union is leading the way by committing to climate neutrality by 2050. The European Green Deal is mapping us the path toward this goal. And because Finland aims to carbon neutrality already before 2035 and carbon negative soon after, that is why we at the Ministry for Foreign Affairs, we have mainstreamed climate change in all our policy sectors. Our government adopted this goal based on scientific analysis by our national climate expert panel, made these evaluations. Well, summarizing, for Finland, circular economy is a key element in our transition to a carbon neutral and resource wise society. Our government program raises circular economy into the very core of our economic and competitiveness policy. Circular approaches, they are supposed to boost green investments, partnerships, and innovations. They also have the potential to create new jobs and income. This is what we all need, isn't it? Well, I told you that this we created the world's first national roadmap to a circular economy already 2016, and according to estimates, this approach to circular economy may contribute to annual added value of at least 3 billion euros to the Finnish economy by 2030. And yes, Finland is a country of 5 million people, so these are significant amounts. In Brazil, I think this is multiplied by, I don't know, 10, 20, you know better than me. Well, Brazil is also cooperating with us already now in circular economy. Sitra, the Finnish Innovation Fund, and FIESP, the Senai part in Sao Paulo, organized actually a local side event for Latin America in World Circular Economy Forum just last month. And there I could feel there is a lot of enthusiasm on this issue here in Brazil too. Well, I believe that the new regulatory framework for basic sanitation in Brazil, which was approved recently by Brazilian Congress, I think it was June 2020. I think this will open many new opportunities, including waste handling and more cooperation to the Finnish and Brazilian companies. And yes, this is what I would like to see, of course, as an ambassador, to see even more cooperation between our countries and in this very important sector with a very positive social and environmental impact. I think I will stop here and to say the least. I'm very excited on circular economy and its concept and opportunities which it is creating in Finland, in Brazil, and all around the world. I hope that this webinar is one of those occasions when new ideas will be taken and understood and brought to reality. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Leinonen. It was a pleasure to listen to you, to see all this powerful speech. I think it's a great beginning for all of us. We're very happy that also the Finnish industries are very much excited and that we have this support also of your Ministry of Foreign Affairs. For us, it means a lot. Brazil, as you said, very specific numbers. Thank you very much. They were very, very much right. We need the support. I think it makes a lot of sense to learn from you a bit and to expand this great potential here. Thank you very, very much for your time, Ambassador Leinonen. I think it was a great beginning. Thank you very much. Well, now I will pass the word. The next guest is our president by ABREN, Mr. Yuri Schmitke. He will do an opening also, adding some information which Ambassador Leinonen started in the beginning. So I'll pass the word now, Mr. Schmitke. Thank you very much for your opening. He will give us a small insight of the current Brazilian situation. What are the potentials for waste to energy in our reality, and a bit of what ABREN has been doing here in Brazil and our scenarios. Thank you very much. Mr. Yuri, please.
Thank you, Mr. Rubens. I'm proud that we have an ambassador that has so much knowledge about waste to energy and all the overview of Finland and Brazil. Thank you very much to the presentation, Ambassador. You will talk some things that I have to talk in. That's okay. It's best if you say, because you are representing this one of the best technologies of waste to energy market. It will be very important to have this partnership that you say with Brazil and Finland to improve waste to energy. Brazil have a huge potential. Let me see my presentation, just a second here, please. I'll share my screen. Okay. First of all, market potential. In Brazil, the population will grow 0.8% a year, and 9% are living in urban areas to 2040. We have this growth of the waste, and the quantity of generation of waste. If you consider the municipalities that have 1 million people, we'll have to treat 100 tons per day of municipal solid waste with waste-to-energy plants. Is the potential of waste-to-energy, and RDRF, refuse-related fuel, also when you have the opportunity to use to produce cement, another thermal process. If you consider the municipalities with 600,000 inhabitants, the potential is 60,500 tons per day of municipal solid waste with waste-to-energy plants. And that's our potential. And you have to consider if you can bring together the municipalities with a consortium, we have more opportunities with waste-to-energy plants. It's just if you consider the big cities and medium cities in Brazil. If you consider the cities with more than 1 million inhabitants, The potential of waste-to-energy plants, it's around 19 terawatt-hour of electricity per year, is 2,360 megawatts of installed power, only in the 28 metropolitan regions. If you consider the 6K inhabitants, you have this opportunity, 11.75 terawatts-hour per year. And the summary is this: we can construct in Brazil. It's about you can construct 118 waste-to-energy plants with 20 megawatts of electricity in 28 metropolitan regions with 1 million inhabitants, and 73 waste-to-energy plants in the 25 municipalities with more than 6K inhabitants. And market drivers and challenge. The next step, the new framework for sanitation, as the ambassador said, are obeying all the municipalities to formalize public-private partnership, PPPs, contracts for 30 years of concession. In the past, nowadays, we have a lot of 5 years contracts. Is the reality in Brazil. What you can invest in 5 years of contract? We don't have time to give the guarantees to the bank, to have a finance to good technologies, and just a medium quality of landfills. Maybe you can have with 5 years contract, but with 30 years, you can have good landfills when it's necessary. We can have waste-to-energy plants, recycle plants, refuse delivery fuel plants to produce to the cement, and have this huge opportunity in Brazil with this new sanitary law that you obey. If the municipality didn't make a PPP, it will be a crime in Brazil. And you have the chance to bid to have the guarantee with the water bill. I have a tariff inside the water bill of the gate fee, the price to treat the waste. And with that, we have a guarantee to give to the bank to have a project finance. It's the best way to have more players come to Brazil and to invest here. It's the best way. And the first national waste management plan in the history are approving, in the process to approve in the environmental ministry. And the plan says that in 2024, we need to treat almost 100,000 tons per day of municipal solid waste, because the match is to eliminate of controlled landfills and dump sites, and to diversion of 20% of organic from sanitary landfills by 2024. And this is the same quantity of the municipal solid waste that France produces in a year, 97,000 tons per day. That's our target. And you have a huge opportunity of waste-to-energy in this plan. The Supreme Court banned the construction or extension of landfills in environmentally protected areas, resulting in the search of alternative treatments for 37,000 tons per day of municipal solid waste due to lack of new available areas. That's it's in the news. Say the name of the cities. If you say 12 of 28 landfills across 11 states, capitals located in protected areas. And Supreme Court are now deciding if this new decision will avoid these landfills to continue operation, or will only to the next landfill. And if you see this map of states of São Paulo, in 3 to 5 years, most of the landfills will be collapsed, and it's a huge opportunity to landfill. Rio de Janeiro is the same thing. You need more landfills to treat the waste, and this or we'll have to transportation in more distance the waste, and the cost will be more, the greenhouse emission, and more wise to construct the waste-to-energy plants in those areas. And the Caixa Econômica, the Federal Bank of Brazil, have 23 projects of PPPs oncoming in Brazil, and ABREN are talking to them just to put waste to energy as a best alternative of landfills. And Caixa Econômica are supported by World Bank, International Finance Corporation, Aebi, AFD, and improve our financial conditions. We have to reduce of the spread. All that rate between 6 to 80%.
Yuri, if I may interrupt you quickly, I think you're having a small problem in your audio. Please take care with your sound, please. Sorry for our audience also. Let's do one more test, please.
It's okay now?
No, it's your voice is getting very much away. Sorry, I need to interrupt you. I think you're putting your hand. I don't know. Maybe you're not noticing it. Can you try once again? Say 1, 2, 3.
The audio is okay now?
Yeah, but now we don't see you. Yeah, okay, now it's good, but please take care because your voice was oscillating and sometimes you were hitting a lot, so we couldn't really hear what you said.
It's okay now?
Now it's good. Please try not to move, maybe, and we also need to take care with the timing for our next guest. Okay, sorry for interrupting.
Thank you. I will
Please go on.
Will be so fast, and we have green debentures for the waste management plants also in this year to the financial, and this is a low historic level of our inflation rates in the history. Reduction of corporate tax at 34%. The project of law in our Congress rate to 20 or 25%, the reduce, and we have this average import duties are reducing with machine equipments at 0 rate. If you don't have the nationality, this machine or equipments. And the good news, the Ministry of Energy and Mines is preparing an action for waste to energy projects in 2021. And ABREN is contributing with the ministry to define appropriate power tariff levels to allow those projects of waste to energy. And the market opportunities, we have the 6 projects of waste to energy plants. Incineration, 5 is incineration, and Diadema is gasification of Autotech. And what ABREN are doing, we have a contribution to Planares, an MBA, the first waste treatment course in Brazil. We are under development a national guide of waste to energy. We made 40 webinars in 2020, this year, and we have a lot of publication, newspaper and magazines in 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, a large newspapers talking about the waste to energy market. And thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Yuri. I think that was a great insight. Well, sorry for the audience. Also, we had a few audio problems, may happen sometimes, but thank you for everyone's attention. Well, I will forward now to our next guest. It's a pleasure to introduce you all. Master in Science, Helena Sarén. She's head of the Smart Energy Finland program at Business Finland. As we had this small delay, please, Mrs. Sarén, please share your screen. If you have any problems, tell us and go on. Thank you very much.
It should be there, is it?
Yes, it is. Perfect.
Yes, good.
Thank you.
And can you hear me as well? I check it at this point.
Yes, it's perfect, Mrs. Sarén. Thank you very much.
Good. Great. So lovely to be here, and warm greetings from a little bit grayish Helsinki area. So all the way from the other side of the world. Yeah, my name is Helena Sarén, and I'm heading the Smart Energy Finland program here at Business Finland. And only one sentence about Business Finland, just in case for our audience. So we are a national innovation funding organization of Finland, national export promotion organization of Finland, and also colleagues are doing on a national level Invest in Finland actions, and as well attracting tourists to come over to Finland. So you are obviously warmly welcome whenever we are capable of traveling again to come as tourists and experience Finland as well. Today, my topic is Finland towards carbon neutrality by 2035. I have a couple of slides here and then a couple of slides related to the main topic of today, so waste to energy issues. So giving an overview to you guys, and then the three Finnish companies will be telling more in details about their solutions. But however, there are other companies operating in other parts of the value chain. So if you are interested in some additional solutions, we are at your service to guide you further. So Finland's carbon neutrality target by 2035 and carbon negativity by 2050. The targets are the most ambitious targets in the whole world. At the moment, about 71% of global greenhouse gas emissions come from energy sector, transportation sector, and also from manufacturing industries. And all of these three sectors are the cornerstones of the Finnish economy. So it means that all of these three sectors have to take actions in decarbonizing their operations. And all of these sectors have very actively been involved in this development and continues to be so. I myself see the energy sector at the moment as an enabler for a sustainable society, as the energy sector is not anymore only working in generating and distributing, for instance, electricity, but it enables certain actions in the society, for instance, decarbonizing the transportation and having, for instance, electric vehicle charging infrastructure in place, and by providing smart grid operations. So very, very crucial sector we are all working, and very, very interesting sector as well at the moment. For your information, Business Finland has funded the innovations related to low carbonity with about 2 billion euros in last 13 years' time. It has started mainly from the energy efficiency topics and the kind of solutions based issues, but more and more issues are coming to the picture now where cross-industrial solutions are created. And that is something we are also heading at. This is actually, sorry that the pictures seem to be there on the way, but hopefully you can see any of the materials will be delivered to you later on. This is one of my favorite slides, and I could talk you quite a lot about this one, but due to time, restricted time, I use only a couple of minutes for this one. But however, this picture, I think on my mind, shows that how complex the present situation is. There are issues related to renewable energies. There are issues related to different kind of waste fractions. There are issues related to new solutions, for instance, in the power-to-X and hydrogen society. There are issues related to bioenergy, and also the new roles of consumers and utilities will coming more heavily into the picture. Also the role of the buildings. And the key here is the data and the understanding of the holistic situation. Because in sometimes countries and regions can do also partial optimization, but then we should have a holistic viewpoint and then decide what kind of roadmaps will take us there to the decarbonized future. But data is definitely there in the core, and we need good connections. We need to collect information in a secure way, reliable way, and take care that the whole system is flexible and smart. So this is the main issue from this picture. From our perspective, we have gathered or grouped all the innovations and developments under the umbrella of the smart energy in Business Finland under 3 different topics. So first one, there is this carbon neutral electrification, meaning that the society is going into the electrified future. And under this issue, there are the topics like waste to energy issues, municipal solid waste, and topics like that. They land into that territory. Then when we think about the smart and flexible energy systems, there are topics like electric vehicle charging infrastructure, smart buildings, demand responses, and that kind of topics there. And then the latest, I would say, the latest topic is the circular economy of energy. And I could other ways say that it's the utilizing of the valuable molecules of hydrogen, nitrogen, and carbon, and recycling of those, and making the needed end products, whether they are, for instance, synthetic fuels, whether they are protein, recycled plastics, or whatever is the end products we want to get. And for your information, we are organizing a seminar in November. I'm sorry, can't remember now exactly the date, but probably it was 24th or 26th, I think, under the umbrella World Circular Economy Forum, about the topic of the circular economy of energy. So it's open for everybody, for global audience, and so please join that if you are interested in. And I hope that probably when in the package, when delivering all the materials, also the link to the enrollment could be sent to our Brazilian audience, because I think this is very, very important topic for all of us. Then a couple of words I'll try to about the waste to value issues. I try to keep my schedule. And yes, like our ambassador said, less than 1% is at the moment landfilled in Finland. And there, as you can see, in 2006, about 52% of our municipal solid waste ended up in the landfills, and in 2018, about 1%, and now it's even squeezing down the number. And of course, there has been several regulation and legislation issues taken place in order to reach this top issue. And one most recent is that all the organic waste and also the garments, meaning clothing and that kind of stuff, is not anymore allowed to be taken into the landfill. So there are also these regulatory issues there behind in order to reach these figures. And then, unfortunately, the figure can't be seen that well, but very, very important is that all the solutions we are in operation in Finland, and also the technologies and solutions we are exporting outside of Finland have to follow the very strict rules of the emissions. And this is also getting back to the circular economy of energy. So for instance, capturing CO2 and utilizing the carbon to produce other end products. So definitely this environmental issue needs to be taken into account. This is a map, a slide where we have collected together with our companies, our offering packages, so to say. But however, here I would like to emphasize to you that is, which I referred earlier on, that it's very, very important to understand the holistic, the big picture. So what is the local situation in Brazil? Are we talking about, for instance, new landfills, how to build them in an environmental way? Or are we talking about how to utilize the waste which is already there in the landfills, in the old landfills, and taking care of the old landfills, what to do with that one? Are we talking about the centralized solutions? Are we talking about decentralized solutions? Very interesting seminar we had the other week with Frost & Sullivan, this kind of global player who provide market information and market reviews. And they called the 2020 is the decade of decentralization. And I think that's also very, very important, interesting development. We have to dig more into details and what it means then in the end for the energy companies, for the consumers, for the utilities, and so forth. Again, from this holistic point of view, understanding the picture, how much renewables you have there, what is the case of the various biomaterial, but not biomaterials, but bio raw materials, whether we are talking about forest, whether we are talking about agro, whether we are talking about the industrial side and waste streams. Also in the picture, we have the wastewater and the sludge related, what to do with the electronic waste, hazardous waste, construction waste, and very, very important nowadays is also the plastic issue, meaning the river and ocean plastics, what to do with that one, and at the end. So understanding the picture and the capabilities of each case, which is the path towards the sustainability, is the key. And here are some building blocks from our side where our strongholds are mentioned here. I'm not going to read them through because you have the materials. And then just to show very briefly about a couple of slides where are the company logos. And like said earlier, 3 companies will be presenting more into details about their offering here today, but there are other companies who could provide some certain solutions for certain issues. And I just want to highlight, give you some food for thought for later discussions. So when we are talking about the waste collection and processing, logistics, recycling, and on the left-hand side, what kind of technologies and solutions there are. And on the right-hand side, there are logos of companies who are capable of doing that, are doing that, and are most of them are on a global market. Then going further to energy from waste, also companies related to that one, also heat recovery, flue gas treatments, and this kind of issues come more and more important as we need to be more sustainable and use all the materials we have at hand and recycle those. And then last but not least, different kind of services which are available, whether it's a planning, whether we are talking about research, or whether we are talking about the operating systems we have at hand. So at this stage, I would like to end my presentation with this one, and hopefully there were some ideas, some food for thought, and we can later on discuss about the certain issues. For instance, going to the smart and flexible grid, which is not of the topic of today, but anyway, the grid is definitely needed then in the end to provide the electricity to the end consumers and end clients. So thank you for your time and thank you for your interest, and looking forward to listening to the rest of the presentations and further content discussions with the Brazilian counterparts. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Sarén. It was a beautiful presentation. We're very excited also to see great news, right, regarding our climate change goals. We're always seeing some so bad news, and it's great to see Finland with such a great 2035 goal of being carbon neutral through Finland technologies, something that we hope the rest of the world can achieve, and you can also support that. Okay, guys, we will open quickly now to a few questions and answer session now. Let me see if there's any questions here. Otherwise, we will move forward. Okay. Just to be clear, after every presentation, we will have about 5 minutes for questions and answers. I think until now, we don't have anything. Well, maybe for later, but Ms. Sarén, thank you very much. It was a beautiful presentation once again. Very nice. Now I will pass the word to the CEO of Woima Corporation. That's Mr. Henri Kinnunen. Be very welcome. He is the CEO of Voima, ambassador of Finland's circular economy. Mr. Kinnunen, thank you very much for being with us. Take a look if you can share. Okay, that's great.
You can see my screen, right?
We can see your screen and we can hear you very, very well. Please, well, we can start and then we have the same model afterwards. Thank you very much. Please go on.
Okay, hello, bom dia, Brazil, my friends from Brazil, and hello, my colleagues from Finland as well, and Mr. Ambassador. It's my great pleasure to be here representing Voima. So as you mentioned, I'm the CEO of Woima Corporation, and it's my pleasure to introduce a bit what we do. It's a limited time, so I will go straight into the topic, but I hope you have some questions after the presentation. So let me start. So I spent some time explaining what we do, what is our value proposition, what are our scope of services, a few words about our technology. Then I promised to dig into my favorite topic, is decentralized waste management and energy distribution. Then I have one slide about our view of the Brazilian market, and I hope it's close what Yuri was explaining earlier, so you can maybe comment that later. So my company is focusing on circular economy very much. So what we want to do, we want to significantly reduce the waste landfilling as we are doing in Finland. With our solutions, we can provide several energy commodities. We can treat any type of waste, and we are strong boosters of recycling. So against this kind of mass burning. So we want to add value to any type of waste. And through this decentralized model, our aim is to cut down the logistics cost heavily. We are an operator and a supplier of best-in-class circular economy solutions. Our main product is the one you see here in the picture called Voima, modular, prefabricated, standardized waste-to-energy power plant. So we are a technology sales company. We can also offer services to run such plant, and in many times we also provide services to our customers during the feasibility stage as well. So we do a little bit of the consultancy service. But our main beef is there that we want to sell these plants everywhere, and I will explain to you what is the difference compared to the many other companies that against we are competing. So maybe this slide presents quite well what we are doing. So we are very flexible. So we can be the full EPC company if there is a need from the customer, but many times we want to operate with the local company. So that's why I have here mentioning the civil versus utility connections. It's many times better that the local companies doing that. So where we put our most effort mostly is this Voima, we call it technology EPC. So we would be delivering the whole plant, doing the installation, ramp up, and then we can even run the plant on behalf of the customer. So it's a kind of full service house. I have some better slides about the ecosystem. I think it's very much valid in the Brazilian context. And then we can also offer the full kind of solution. So this kind of pre-treatment facility we can also offer. Very briefly, our technology. So this is just a glimpse of the Voima line. In one plant, you can have several Voima lines. Here is the fuel feed, the combustion chamber. We collect the bottom ash here. And then we do meet the local emission standards. So what you need to do here is that you need to have 850 degrees for 2 seconds. So we already start that emission control process from here. And then it's very simple process as such. The customer only needs to decide what do they want to do with the steam. So 400 degrees for the bar comes from the line, and then it's up to the customer to decide if it's district heating, if it's high pressure steam, it's a combination, and so forth. And as I mentioned, we do meet the local emission standards, even if the strictest what we have here in Finland. So we collect here that so-called APC ash and the toxic ash 1 to 3%. So what we promise that we can add value to more than 95% of the waste that is coming into the plant, which is quite good. I think this value chain explains quite well what we do. So our plant is here. So any type of waste, typically it's municipal solid waste. It can be already landfill municipal solid waste as well, industrial waste, construction waste, even hazardous waste at some extent, biomedical waste. And this, what we receive nowadays a lot is this kind of ocean and river type of plastic waste. which is a good fuel for our plant. So typical customers for us are waste management companies, companies who have access to waste for a long period of time, like Yuri mentioned, 5 to 20 years, because it's a must in this business. We work with energy companies who are interested in waste to energy, who want to expand their plants. We work with private investors, developers, and more with these renewable energy funds, because of the concept from us is the kind of standardized solution, so it gives certain benefits for having multiple plants in such funds. So this is the typical customer revenue stream if you see here. So customer is getting money through the gate, so-called tipping fee, and then if there is a waste pre-sorting, we boost that as much as possible, so we would at least do recycling for the metals and the glass, and then comes our plant. So it's either electricity or heat or a combination of those. And many times there are also these carbon credits. If the customer can get those, I don't know if that's the case in Brazil. And then also the bottom ash is typically sold or given to the cemeteries, or in many countries they make bricks out of that. Some words about the waste Voima concept. So it's 100% scalable. So in this picture you see 2 Voima lines. You can start with one if your waste amount is increasing. So you can start with one and then bring another line later. So this is the kind of leading idea of the whole system. So easy to scale. What we promise is 15 months from signing the contract, you have the plant in your background up and running. Background, yes. And what is very different to many competitors is actually you can relocate the plant. So this gives certain business prospects as well. So you can have an existing landfill, you bring Voima plant next to it, you start mining, and after 5-10 years, depends on how big the plant, the landfill is, then you relocate the plant. And this also gives you certain security if your customer is not paying the bill. Let's say they don't pay for the electricity or they don't pay for the waste, so actually you can move the plant after that. We don't aim for the big plants, so we are the small to medium scale power plants, which I show you later a bit of the size. We do accept almost all wastes, fuels to our plant. I think in Brazil you have a big country, but in many of these big cities you don't have too much space. So the smallest plant we have can fit into 3,500 square meters, which is pretty good. And it can be next to an existing landfill already. Which I mentioned that we are big believers of the distributed power and waste management, which I explained to you a little bit more in a nutshell. So as I mentioned, we can also provide this pre-sorting station. We have many good Finnish companies like Metso, for example. There can be Metso shredder here and the simple manual separation line. And then we are boosting this kind of recycling method, circular economy, as much as possible, because we do accept almost any type of waste. So we know that what type of fuel is coming to us, so we can also integrate this into our system. A little bit more detail about the scope, what we do. So here you see one Voima line solution, around 50,000 tons per year, 15 megawatt fuel power per line, 2.5, 2.7 net electricity to the grid. So if you start with one line, then you can add another line later, it will be 100% the same. You can run different fuels, or you can run same fuels with 2 lines. This is already 100 tons per year. If you have a plant of landfill of 150 tons per year, so it will be 3 lines and so forth. So this is the main concept. So you can start with one, you can add more lines later, or you can, basically we can give a solution to almost any size landfill or waste management company. So this is something that separates us from many others. So we are selling the same product in every single market where we are present. Then I mentioned a bit about the ecosystem. So what customers really want, they want to have an ultimate solution. So someone who will give them the total solution. So that was the reason why we started to develop this Voima ecosystem. So it can be an existing landfill, or it can be a greenfield, and there is a waste treatment facility. Many countries, the waste that is coming into these landfills can be quite bad quality, and it varies a lot. So, for example, in Brazil, I think during the rainy season, the humidity of the waste can be pretty high. So with this method that we separate organics, it can be either it's a composting plant or it's a biogas plant. But then we know that the waste that comes to our plant will be good quality. So this is how we secure the waste and reduce the seasonal variation as well. And what we have developed a lot, that we can also take the landfill gas and the biogas directly into our system. So we can increase the amount of electricity from such plant. So this is something that we can also offer. Here you see a better picture of that. The smallest plant of this Voima ecosystem starts from 250 tons per day, but we can upscale this easily up to 2,000 tons per day. So there we start to be already in the bigger scale of the plant. Then I promised to give you a little bit information about the decentralized waste management and energy distribution. We did a nice study for a city of Nairobi roughly a year ago, where we made a study comparing this kind of centralized big waste energy plant versus having several smaller plants in city of Nairobi, and the results were quite astonishing actually. So many of these results what I'm sharing here are based on real facts. So such study is comparable quite nicely to almost any big city like Rio or Sao Paulo. So by having this kind of decentralized waste management facilities close to the waste, so the waste management or waste logistics costs are reduced up to 50%. I think I have in the next slide some actual figures from Nairobi as well. And then the electricity transmission losses diminish up to 10% because end users are close. You can do private PPAs. You can have a mini grids, and this promotes quite well also this type of new opportunities, having batteries, etc. So it's endless opportunities for optimization. The transport savings between the centralized and decentralized waste to energy solutions are coming from the shorter routes. So what comes as the end product is that there's less fuel consumption, you can have less trucks, less working hours, and less maintenance. So there are direct savings for the municipality or whoever company is doing the waste collection. And it's not only financially sound solution, as we say in Finland, that we want to boost this circular economy as much as possible. So there are other tangible and intangible benefits too, like increased recycling, higher waste collection, more flexibility in the waste collection and transportation. We are reducing the water, land, and air pollution as much as possible, and also the positive health implications, so forth. So we are of course boosting this kind of smaller, cost-efficient waste energy facilities like the Woima plant, which can be also tested in the smaller scale. So what the customer don't need to do is to invest to a heavy 100 million euro plant. They can start with the smaller plant, and then when they see that the concept is working, then we increase the size. So very efficient, very flexible. So as the waste Voima plant has very small footprint, the modular structure, and very high level of prefabrication, as every single module comes in 20 to 40 feet container size. So in practice, we can deliver these plants, for example, in Brazil, to anywhere you want, from the nearest port to the site. So because it's already designed, so every single plant will be more or less the same. So you will have money, you will save money with the design and engineering. And as the plant is the same, so it has faster permitting process after the pilot. So there are a lot of benefits through this. And as I mentioned, 15 months, our target is actually going to 12 months in the future. So I would say it's pretty well if we can achieve that. And here I mentioned that through that study which we did to Nairobi, in the 12 years period, they saved more than $83.5 million only for the logistics. So with this money, they could already buy more or less 4 plants. So the savings are significant. I think this is actually exactly the case in the case of Brazil as well. And my last, I think this is the last slide. Maybe some figures are not 100% the same as you might have, but if we focus on the Brazil, so we see that it has huge potential to be one of the leading waste to energy countries, not only in the region, but globally as well. Because many of the things that ABREN is actually now boosting will have a significant impact on how the waste will be treated, what are the implications, that what you need to do for the waste, and that will create not only health benefits for the country, but many business opportunities. And what we see from Voima side is, of course, we want to take piece of the pie, so to say. We see that there is market need for more than 50 of these standardized waste Voima power plants. And as you see in this picture, so not only in these big cities, but any city that has more than 200,000 people is a good place for our plant because of the size. And we can then, in the bigger cities, we can have multiple lines. So our view is that Brazil has great future in not only in the waste to energy sector, but in the context of circular economy, because you know that you have a lot of landfills where the existing landfill can be used. You have a lot of waste that you can treat. If you do things right, there will be also kind of green energy to share for everyone. So I think that was my last slide. Yes. So thank you very much. It was my pleasure. I think I spent my 15 minutes very well, hopefully.
Okay, Mr. Kinnunen, thank you very much for your presentation. I think it was very thoughtful for all of us. I myself have actually the first question, and then let's see if we have further questions here for the Brazilian market. And well, we know, I think the first challenge we have in Brazil is usually to bring those technologies and adapt them to our reality. Do you have any plant from what you presented or one of those modules already operating somewhere else in a country with a similar waste composition of Brazil? Because I think our main focus is actually municipal solid waste. Yeah. Do you have something similar already operating, and how has it been doing? This is our first question. I think our public is also interested in seeing something.
Yeah, the technology that we represent in the Voima line is something that we are used. I think 90% of the Finnish waste energy power plants are using the same. So in our context and the contract that we are having, so we don't allow any supplier that wouldn't have references from the module. So that also allows us to do different types of plants in different parts of the world. So for example, the boiler, the grate, the cleaning system, etc. Every single module must have references. Otherwise, it's not bankable. So this is 100% bankable technology. And what we are doing now, we already have gathered forces with some bigger players, and we published also a partnership this June with Fortum, which is very big Finnish company with whom we are also doing certain market analysis for different markets. Very interesting time for us.
Okay, well, thank you very much. One last question maybe that I see here Is Voima looking for some local partner? How do you work when you go to a country? For example, you said you did this study for Nairobi, for example, and we know due to currency challenges, and that's also a question for the other partners who are about to present here. We have a strong euro and dollar against our Brazilian real, and we know sometimes it doesn't make the project necessarily bankable, or the IRR gets too small, or the payback gets too long due to currency exchange challenges. So sometimes you need a local partner or an EPC. How do you see that? We see, I understand you say you have some suppliers, but how do you want to do that? And or do you usually do that also to dilute the risks, right? So do you look for a local partner, local bank? How do you usually work on that?
I think it's a good question. So we normally work with developers. So like we have had discussion with Francisco, for example, and there is a project opportunity. If there are needs to do localization, we have split it from our concept that certain parts can be always localized.
Mm-hmm.
I spent some time a few years ago in Brazil. We built a factory for Wärtsilä there. So I know that there can be this kind of local content requirements, and that is one of the reasons why we think that the Voima concept is quite ideal. So in the Voima line concept, there are certain parts that we always need to deliver from our existing supply chain, but there are several elements that we can always localize. Okay. And that was the reason that we can be flexible. If the local partner wants to do civil works, they want to take the full EPC. If they have better cost efficiency for that, we are open for that. So we can be in several roles, and in some cases we can also bring financing together with our financing partners to the project, and many times that's needed. And we want to be the partner already from very beginning. So we support our customers from the very beginning during the feasibility stage. So we seldom take part in these big tenders where it's already kind of been agreed how is the size of the plant, and we cannot affect too much.
Okay. Well, Mr. Kinnunen, thank you very much for the great presentation. I think we're keeping the high level here. Well, I'll let other questions per email. Thank you very much for sharing your information. I will pass the word now for our new presenter here now, Mr. Kalle Kivela. I don't know if I'm saying it right. He's the founder of Crosswrap, and he is going to talk about sustainable alternative fuel handling chain. Mr. Kivela, thank you very much for joining us. I'd like to ask you to turn on your speaker, please, and try to share your screen. Not yet. Maybe try to turn on your audio. Okay. Now I can listen. Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. Can you try to share your presentation?
Share the screen.
There you go. It's coming. Well, I see the zoom now. There you go. Just, yeah.
Okay.
Great. Perfect, Mr. Kivela. Great.
Okay. Hey, thank you for the opportunity to be in this ABREN webinar. So what we do is that, well, we are manufacturers, but in our system and logistic, we do save the energy for the use. That's basically what we do. That if I give an example first, that what is our machinery, that for this part of the business, we do wrapping machines first, and then we open up the bales for energy use. But well, other business we do, we are in a recycling business on opening and dewiring the plastic and paper bales for process, which is quite big deal today too. Then we do some bale cutters for the different type of bales, and then we do wrapping machines for port industry, like in Brazil, Pernec and Florapac is our customers. This is warehouse of Pernec. So the concept is so that whatever the system is in the front, I mean, you do separate the materials or it's municipal solid waste, then there will be a baler, and then we wrap that, meaning that we save the energy from the first step. That when the is it SRF, RDF, municipal solid waste, whatever, it's pressed and wrapped, and when it's pressed tight and wrapped tight, then the energy value will remain. So then it's stored there, transported, it's stored short or long time. The long time means dry landfill, and then short time is direct by truck to where the energy will be used. So in other end, we have a bale opener that we can open up the bales, and the material will follow to the process, and we can take the dyes and films out if it's needed, or throw them in. That depends that if you have mass burning or fluidized bed, or it's a cement kiln, what is the need? About the machinery we have been in business. I started the company in '94, and in '95 we made the first waste project in Germany. We moved that landfill there, and we bale it and wrap it, and that was shipped for to be used as waste to energy. It was like landfill mining. So next one is that's in Brazil, RDF. The material is first sorted, valuables away, and organics away. So then it's burnables, which can be landfilled like dry landfill or used for fuel. The third one here for this CV 2200 wrapper is for Pro Amp in Brazil. You see the left side is SRF, and we are finishing that as a wrapped bales. That CV 2200 is a wrapper which works behind the balers, which are tying the bale first, and then we wrap that. Then we have another solution for CV Direct, which is wrapping after the twin ram balers without any ties. This is example from Uruguay, where they are baling and wrapping municipal solid waste, goes for landfill as a dry landfill, and can be used for fuel later on. But the whole idea on those both systems is that the energy value remains. Just showing a few examples here that how neat and easy system it is. In left-hand side, we have a paper mill in Finland. We made that line there 97. It has been doing today about 200,000 tons of reject from paper mill. And as you know, that's a big coming issue today. In Finland, that was already bidden on those days to put it in a landfill, and that same thing is following now in the Western world, like Europe, even US is doing that soon. So the reject has to be used, and they stock and then use it as a fuel. On the right-hand side, we see a stock. That's from Napoli. We do have there about 5 million tons fuel in a stock today, which they are actually shipping today far as Sweden, Norway, and other countries for be used for fuel. That about transporting those bales, like in Brazil, I have seen quite many flatbeds that, this left side picture is from New York, where they, well, actually Long Island, they are shipping the material to landfills. Beautiful material to be used for fuel, but the US guys thinks that, you know, you can stock that 100 years or maybe 20 years, but it will be taken for fuel, I'm sure, later on. But on the right-hand side, we have bales, which that's up in Boston, where the bales goes for stock, but they certainly, like these bales, are already used, because that's Covanta, which runs 45 waste energy plants in US. They are our customers. They have few places where they stock the material for from summer to winter use, and this is one of those projects. This is well, I did pick up some US things here, but well, this is New Jersey. These guys have a plant which do about 2,000 tons per day, and shipping that to the landfill in Midwest by rail. And they did have to have 100 tons per rail car, and no smell, no flies. And okay, in their case, they don't care about the energy value, but it reminds, and it can be used later on then. This is an example from UK, where these fuels are shipped to, actually this one goes to Scandinavia. You can see that if you see my mouse, there's in this building, they have a sorting plant, and we have a wrapping line here, and there's another one there that, you know, they put the bales in a stock on docks, and when they have a 3,000 tons ready, the ship is coming, and they put them in a ship and ship them to the Scandinavia to heat the houses. This is well, a little bit similar. It's river parts that what you can do in on a rivers or smaller scale, the same as before. You can get the maximum space and weight in a cargo by doing this, and it's safety. There's no leaching, there no smell and no flies. So that was the handling, but here's a landfill. Actually, this is taken by our engineers when they went to install a wrapping machine to this site. And this is typical landfill, unfortunately, even today in many cases. Well, whatever the country is in South America, or this was actually in EU, but okay, that was in 90s, that they burn the waste, maybe illegal dumping or can be even legal dumping, but that's how they get rid of the waste. And as it is, it's wasting the energy for increasing the climate change, which is a poor thing that we don't like it, but happens today. This is a little bit better step, but we see again that you have a birds, you have a flies, you have a flying materials, and in the same time you don't see a fire, but the energy value doesn't remain in this material later, that it's costing those landfills, which are open tops like this one, and it's a very typical landfill. They still are creating big problems for us in a climate change, that this is something what we do not recommend, and we have seen that there's more and more those are closed because of the problems of it for our nature Earth. This is then a drive landfill where it's easy and nice compacting. You just need a material handler, and then you put the bales in a stock, and then you put a little sand over, and then you can drive again there. But the beauty is that the energy value remains a lot in this case, and it will be picked up later on for as a landfill mining they call it, but the material will stay clean. That even they call it this dry landfill, we call it just temporary or long time storage. And it's a solution for when it's needed on long time storage, that I'm sure like in Brazil, they will not have the money to do all the investments for the energy plants in a first step. That, this is one step forward, and it's a big step for stopping the climate change. This just shows example like in left-hand side in Spain. After they put layers of alternative fuels on the ground, and then they put a little bit sand over that you can drive again. On the right-hand side, it's from France, same thing, and the energy value remains from the day one. That actually it's from the transfer station or where is the waste handling site. From there, the material will remain with the energy value. Just another picture from the dry landfill. As you can see that there's no birds, there's no flies. And the big deal is that like today, the normal landfill, one of the biggest costs is the clean up the leachate if that's made right. And in a dry landfill, you get a lot less leachate. It's basically the rainwater, but the rainwater doesn't go through the materials, meaning that the leachate it's so much cleaner that cleaning up that one it's a lot less money, and it's making a big cost savings on that. This is just showing the tube there is that for gas collection, there is a little bit gas coming out, and that can be collected easily, which is again that it's protecting the environment. Here's the example that if you are short on space and you don't know where to make the landfill, this gives you an example from Beirut, where we have today about 15 million tons on that run. We started this project 98, I guess it was. And today, this is filled up here. So all this is filled up. And there's a river underneath, which is on a tube that, but like in this case, the Beirut is nearby, but they didn't have any place to make the landfill, and this was the solution. And when we started the project, there was one waste-to-energy plant, but the locals burnt that down, and ever since they haven't had the waste-to-energy, so this material is just waiting for the use later on. Okay, then we jump to the use of the material. This is an example from Germany where Suez has a plant that they have a contract with the locals that they take waste 12 months per year, but in the same time the site is in a maintenance once in a while, and then you have a peaks that there's more waste than they can handle. So in the same building, they have a baling and wrapping. They have a license to stock that outside there. And when they are low on waste, they will use this energy from those bales on the side, meaning that they can run always with the high performance for the plant. This is example from Mexico City, where there's sorting in a city. Actually, it's a nearby airport, this one, where they have a couple of our wrappers working there. And then it's shipped to for the Cemex to be used for fuel. It's a nice, neat operation. It's just not ending up in landfill anymore. This is a project in Turkey, where we have a couple of those wrappers. We have a few wrappers and a couple dewiring systems, bale openers working for cement kiln that they can use that as for fuel. This is the internet cement. Just the example from South America. This is nearest to Brazil. It's that Loma Negra where they are receiving SRF in wrapped bales. This site is it's a first bale opener in Spain, and it's Holcim Lafarge, Spain. Why I'm saying first, because they have already ordered the second one for other cement kiln in Spain. They take the most of the materials locally, but there's quite a lot coming from like UK or Ireland. This is Titan cement in Greece. In a left-hand side, you see the bale going in, and on the right-hand side, we are pulling the film and ties out. And then it goes to the process to be used as a fuel. And we did replace here another machine because they did want to have a capacity and reliability for the system, and very happy today with this one. Here is a picture from ProAmp in Brazil. They do have those SRF ready to ship for cement kilns that, in my understanding, that will be one of the solutions for you too. Like we are working with rest of the world with the companies, with the cement kilns and local waste treatment companies, and understanding that there's a question of the economics is always a other part than for the climate change, and you have to value that. But my understanding that it will be good effort on in your country too, because cement kilns needs the fuel and they are using fossil fuels, and here you have a solution, and ProAmp is the first one doing this SRF for cement kilns, but needs the next step, and I'm sure that there's another ones who will do the same thing if you start using SRF as a fuel and not dumping the stuff to the landfill. That it's kind of it's not our part of the business. Our part is to make the logistic, and you make your solutions to save the Earth. I mean,
Mr. Kivelä, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but in order for us to keep the process here, I would need you to
that's all.
just final words in respect to our other participants. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, here we are, and this is where we are today with our machinery that we work worldwide. And there's me, Marta, and Bernardino who can serve you on our machines, and happy for questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Kivelä, we need to skip now the question and answer, so we just skip the timing, but we will share, of course, your data as well as the other participants. Thank you very much. I'm quite sure you have a very, very big potential in our country here, and thanks for your great presentation. Well, I'd like to introduce now our new partner here, Mr. Eero Tiilikainen. I'm also not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Eero, thank you very much. He is Sales, Energy, and Environmental Director of Metso Autotech. It's a pleasure to have you here, Eero. Please have the word. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rubens, and thanks to you and Yuri for being able to be part of this great event. And I'm happy to present the Metso Autotech's solution or what we think would be the great solution for Brazilian market. So Metso Outotec is a new company actually coming from Metso and Outotec joining forces this summer. And both Metso and Outotec have been or are mining and mineral companies as the core business, and we have been in Brazil for a long time, 20, 30, 40 years in taking part of the mining business in Brazil. But we do have energy business as well, and the Metso crushers for waste treatment were already mentioned here in Henri's presentation. So we are a relatively big company, 15,000 employees, and you can see the figures in your screens. We are a global company, and as you can see,
I'm sorry, I need to interrupt you quickly. We're having some failing audio with you. I don't know if it's your phone. Maybe you take it out.
Okay.
It's echoing and going up and down like Yuri in the beginning. If you could,
okay.
maybe.
Is it better now? I'm having the microphone closer to myself.
It's still a bit weird. I gotta tell you. Maybe if you can put it out, maybe it would get better.
Okay. Or is it now okay?
Perfect so far. Okay, sorry for interrupting you. Okay.
No worries. No worries. Thanks for raising the point. So I don't want to speak here alone, and the audience with me. So yes, as I said, we're a global company. We are present in every mining country, basically in one way or the other. And the countries we don't have our offices directly, we typically have agents. But as you can see in Brazil, we have several dots there. And our technology is based on fluidized bed. So it's this sand-like material that where the waste is put in, or the fuel. And we have 60 years of commercial use behind us in this technology. So we really know how it performs and what it can do. I think it's fair to say that Brazil has a waste challenge. There's a huge amount of, or there's a lot of waste. It's not always the right way disposed, and the recycling industry is not the healthiest industry at the moment. So we would of course like to promote a solution that helps to take this to the next level and be safer for everybody in this industry and all the people living in the country. So the traditional mass burn route is that everything is collected together and it's just then burned. And this is not the solution we promote, because there's several areas that are not ideal for the society. It means that you need to build a massive size waste to energy plant for all of that tonnage. The efficiency of the plant is going to be relatively low because of all of that material that actually doesn't belong to an energy plant. And then because you're putting stuff through the plant that doesn't belong there and doesn't burn, like there could be metal, stones, glass, these kind of things, they come out of the plant. So you also have a high amount of material coming out of the system, and you need to process that material somehow and dispose it, which is a waste of time and effort. Now the solution we would like to see implemented is that the waste is ideally collected separately, but if that's not possible, then you collect everything and then you have a material recovery facility where the metals, glass, and especially the bio-waste and biomass is separated from the rest. And the biomass is put to an anaerobic digestion plant, which can generate biogas that can be used as a replacement of natural gas if you have a gas distribution network available. And if that's not available, you can have a gas engine and produce electricity out of it. And then the rest is dealt with a high efficiency waste to energy plant and turned to an electricity and heat. So the benefits for society or the municipality is that the waste to energy plant can be lower capacity. The specific cost can be lower and the efficiency higher because of the material mix being more suitable for a plant like this. Big portion of the material would go to this anaerobic digestion plant, which is cheap and easy and fast to build, which is of course then ideal use of your or reducing your capital expenditure compared to the throughput you are having for the system. And then from the AD plant, you don't have residues that need to be disposed. You would have a fertilizer product that can be used as for parks and you know even sold as a product for people to use when they plant their flowers. Now that all sounds nice, but of course there's some benefits and drawbacks on everything. So just being open on the good and the bad. So what we can do, and here we separate from Mr. Kinnunen's technology and presentation, is that we also, our system is also modular, but it's made of much bigger modules, and we can have up to 350,000 tons a year, which is roughly 1,000 tons a day, if you prefer those figures. And then this higher capacity can also lead to lower capex cost. And then higher efficiency, definitely, because the wet biomass that would only sort of not actually produce any energy in the system is not going through this system. It's going through the AD plant. It allows more recycling and material reuse. And the picture you see here, there's a recycling line in the front. Then you have two storage silos where the prepared fuel is stored for 2.5 days worth of storage. And then you would have the Outotec waste to energy line. We have a high input material flexibility, so it could be from 10 to 20 megajoules per kilogram, even higher if needed. So that's also security for the future, because normally when societies develop, the waste fractions go from wet biomass more towards packaging, so paper and cardboard and plastic. And if someone wants to start recycling plastics and turn plastics to valuable products in the future, our system will allow that as well. And you would need only to upgrade the recycling plant to do the plastic collection, and then that could be reused somewhere else. So all of these benefits typically give better social acceptance, and also, as I said, is a future-proof solution. And the social acceptance is often a big problem for waste-to-energy plants because they, for no reason, have a bad name on them, and people don't like to have them close by where they live. And then the better plant, the lower emissions you have, the easier social acceptance from the local people you have with a plant like this. Now, the bad of our plant is not much, but there are some, and compared to these mass burn plants, the plant is a bit more complex because there is this material recycling facility step, and someone needs to operate that step. So you need few persons on that. But in our opinion, those drawbacks are small compared to the benefits of the technology. Like I said, emissions are really key when it comes to social acceptance. Here are test results from one of our waste-to-energy plants for a few weeks back when it was performance tested. So these are the actual values. You can see 2-week emission test values, and this plant got permitted 2015, where the permit limits in the EU were still higher than they are currently. And the lowest line, you can actually see the current permitting levels. And there is only one value where our technology misses the new values. And you need to remember that this technology at the point were designed to meet the higher values, the 2015 values. So even our 2015 design is meeting practically all of the 2020 requirements. And this one value where we are not meeting the limit is something where we can easily increase the flow of hydrated lime and get that value as well below the limit of 6. So that's this just shows how we are with our technology really like in many values 1/10 of the limit or even lower. So we have done around 120 of these plants since we started doing them in 1970s. So there's a lot of experience in the company on various fuels, and there's a lot of fuel flexibility. So we have customers that are running the plants with agricultural waste, and depending on the harvesting season, they might use 4 or 5 different fuels during 1 year. So first they use corn residues, then they might use almond shells the next 2 months, and so on and so on. So that's really a great thing for the technology. And also this is good when we are talking about waste originated fuels, where the moisture levels might vary depending on the season. The content of the waste, what's in there might go one way or the other on the years to come. And you don't want your technology to be struggling when your input changes. So that's something where we are secure that we can do a plant that works for the years to come. Here's some good and bad still on the grate fired plant or mass burn plant. So the good is that you don't need no pre-treatment. You just push everything in, and you might have potentially lower OPEX. But the bad is that it's not fuel flexible, it can handle high calorie fuels or wastes, and this locks the customer into a burn all model, because if they would start to recycle the wet biomass, the mass burn plant couldn't possibly handle the now higher CV rest of the material unless there's some other low CV wet material that takes the heating value down. Here's some information how we don't sell these anaerobic digestion plants, but I just wanted to show this how actually this solution is really taking in on EU level. So this is already happening heavily on European Union, that food waste is taken out of the waste stream and put to a separate plant because of the benefits it offers. And of course, when Brazil starts to really enter into waste to energy more area and starts to adapt these technologies from countries where this has been done before, it would make sense to adapt on the best practices rather than go first the wrong route and then later on try to change that. I have many slides in this presentation when it comes to benefits of our technology. It's modular, how it's modular and easily to localize the manufacturing. But I'm conscious on time, and the organizers, so team behind ABREN has said that everybody will get a presentation or copy of the presentation. So I would like to just leave you the opportunity to read through this rest of the material. You will find my contact details in the last page. So I'm happy to then answer any questions later on, but of course happy to take any questions now if you have.
Okay, Eero, thank you very much. Also, fortunately, we're a bit of running out of time, and we still have Francisco to do his final words. But for everybody who is listening to us, we will get your presentations in our more than 6,000 people contacts on our social media newsletters. So you'll have contact to all of them, and they will have also access to your email and presentation. Eero, thank you very, very much. Maybe we'll do like 5 minutes of questions and answer by the end. I'd like to pass now the final words for Francisco Leme, and also my best thanks also, Leme. Thanks also for organizing. The ambassador just left, but I would also like to thank him once again for the opportunity, and also for Business Finland, who helped us also to turn this webinar into reality. Now, Mr. Leme, he's the CEO of W4 Resources, and he's also very nicely our board member also by ABREN. So I'd like to pass the word to you, Leme, and thank you very much for making this possible once again.
Okay, Rubens, thank you. Yuri, thank you. It's nice to have all my friends here from Finland in this seminar. And I just to say a few words about the organization of this seminar. I remember when I phoned to Gary from the Embassy of Finland, and Gary was very excited to do this with ABREN, and with support of Rubens and all the people, Yuri, and Matti and John, it became a reality. Let me share with you my small presentation. Here we are.
That's good. We can see it. Just
okay, you can see?
Perfect. Thank you, Leme.
Okay, let's go concerning Brazilian potential. I put here 3 kinds of waste: municipal waste, hazardous, industrial and commercial waste, a municipal sewage sludge. I didn't put here the tires because most of the tires, close to 100% of the used tires in Brazil are already used as a source of energy or to recycle or source of steel. And also I didn't put the huge amount of biomass. Most of it is using as source of energy. Here you have generation of municipal waste, 8 million, based in 2018. And the figures that I brought here is no hazard waste with potential, energetic potential. My calculation, it's around 24 million tons per year, but I would say that's very pessimistic, might be much more than that. And we have 60 million of sewage sludge. If you see only in 2018, only 1 million of all this potential has been used. And most of it in cement companies as a co-processing. And also you see here, I put as potential the numbers, the percentage of Germany has already done in 2018, the same year. And I put as potential for Brazil, let's say in 25, 20 years, we be in the same level. The consumers, we have many kinds of consumers, of course, mass burning, cement companies, gasification, and biogas. And as Mr. Schmidt said, we are increasing this amount of waste in 12% in the next 6 years here. The other one is, just to finalize my small presentation, the opportunity for Finnish companies to help Brazil to change the history of the waste here in Brazil is to go for 1 million to 55 million tons per year through mass burn installation for major areas. Let's say we have big amount of major metropolitan areas. Of course, some of them is not for mass burning, might be also for cement, as Belo Horizonte that has 5 cement plants nearby, Curitiba also. Of course, we need to have plants to produce CDR, compostable derived residues, as well to separate the recyclables. Gasification, biogas plant, logistics is a big issue for the waste in Brazil due to our distance, our size. Also, we need plants to generate energy and steam based in waste, biomass and biogas. Of course, we need your know-how. Welcome Finnish companies to help Brazil change the destination of its waste. And I would want to share you one curiosity. Maybe most of you speakers know about it, but let me share with all the people that are hearing us. Brazil is the biggest leader of the production of agribusiness in Brazil. And I don't know if you already know that the first tractor farm in Brazil is a Finnish company. And it's starting in 60s with the first plant of farm tractor in Brazil. And the first farm tractor in Brazil is with Finnish know-how. And I'm very proud because it was my father that brought this plant to Brazil. Thanks a lot for the opportunity. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, Lemi, thank you very, very much for your presentation. Well, I'd like to thank you once again for this great overview you gave us now It was a great pleasure to have you here. Also, thank you for making this once again possible. We will also share this presentation of Mr. Leinonen in the future with our partners here, and also with international partners for future webinars and for also information. Well, we are almost done here. I will ask you a few last questions here. We have one question for Euro for Autotech and another one later also. So let's do this kind of quickly. We're almost on our final 5 minutes. Mr. Euro, we have the question here. How many fluidized bed plants are in operation around the world with mixed municipal solid waste source? This is our question for now.
We have around 20 plants that have full or partial fuel as pre-treated municipal solid waste. So some of the plants run 100% with it, like the plant where I showed the emission performance. And there are some plants that use it 50-50 with biomass or some other fuels, depending on the solution the customer has wanted to build.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Euro. Our next question, and not less important, is for Mrs. Sarén. Regarding your topic here, best practice from Finland, there is one outstanding number. In 2006, 52% of the municipal solid waste went to landfills. When we think about it, 12 years later, just 1%. What would you define, Mrs. Sarén, are the best practices, and what made Finland in a bit more than a decade to almost make this number come to zero?
Well, hopefully you can hear me. So I think there are several issues, but the most important is that we had a joint target as a nation, I would say it that way. And then there was the regulation and legislation was supporting this kind of a development. Then there were campaigns towards public. So because it is anyway, it ends up in the people and the behavior, how we do, whether we do, for instance, source separation and that kind of issues, which were introduced at the time as well, gradually. And then there were certain like collecting points and like, for instance, when we collect the bottles, you get there's certain amount of money back. I mean, when you get a receipt and shops when you deliver the bottles. So that kind of systems were developed at the same time in order to enhance and advance the recycling and collecting of certain materials. So all the players needed to be there. The public sector legislation then has to think it from the whether there is some money involved at some point, of course, and then the behavior of the people. So I mean that kind of issues.
Okay. Thank you, Helena. It was a pleasure to have you also here. Well, as we're running out of time, I would like to ask the last question for Mr. Kivala. Well, I think maybe he is not really available right now, but we will, I think, let this final part here end. Yuri, would you like to add some words? Francisco, who is still with us here, would like to share some final words, and maybe we can finish?
Yes, you can do it. Okay. I would like to give to say thank you for everyone to participate in this webinar. To thank you to you that are listening to us for 2 hours, and ABREN are working to improve all the technologies around the world to come to Brazil to change our reality, and the Finnish technologies are welcome in ABREN. Thank you very much.
Okay, Leme, do you have any final words? Are you done? Turn on your audio.
Okay. No, thank you everybody for the support for this webinar. And I'm sure that Finnish companies has a lot of opportunity in Brazil. Of course, you have to understand our country, the sizes, the economics, the bureaucracies, etc. But I'm sure that we are going to change this in few years. It's a pleasure for me to participate in this webinar. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like also to thank once again the ambassador who is not here anymore. I'd like also to thank Business Finland, which made this possible. Yuri, Pitkanen, João Bordon, also Mate also helped us a lot. Francisco, of course, thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Mrs. Sarén, once again, thanks for the great presentation. Mr. Kinnunen is also not here anymore, but also thank you very much for your availability. Mr. Kivella, also a great presentation. We will talk also later and expand your presentation. Thank you very much. Eero, also thanks for your time. We know you guys due to time challenge and availability is different from here from Brazil, but thank you very much. Lemme once again, and Yuri. I would like also to thank our public and well, wish you all a great weekend. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.